picture this. It's a really frustrating, almost absurd scenario. You are Nurse Deepika Singh. You work at a major medical institute, PGMer.
Okay.
You marry a widower. You lovingly take on his 2 young children as your own. Years go by. You have your first biological child. You apply for maternity leave, and your employer just says no.
And the reason for that denial is, I mean, that's the core of this whole deep dive. It was because of those 2 stepchildren.
Right.
The state bureaucracy literally counted her caring for them as, establishing her family. So the newborn was technically the 3rd child.
So under the rules, she exceeded the 2 surviving children limit. She was actually penalized for being a good stepmother.
It's a classic case of the law just sticking to the text and completely ignoring what's happening in the real world.
And that is exactly why we're diving into Deepika Singh versus Central Administrative Tribunal. It's a Supreme Court case where the law was basically forced to redefine what the word family even means today.
Yeah, our mission here is really to show you how a simple bureaucratic checklist got completely overturned by, fundamental constitutional principles.
So she didn't just accept this denial, obviously.
Of course not, but she lost at the first 2 levels. First, the Central Administrative Tribunal, the CAT, and then the Punjab and Haryana High Court. Both of them dismissed her case.
And they just agreed with the employer.
They did. They just said, well, she claimed some benefits for those first 2 children, so her quota was used up. It was a very simple literal reading.
This is where the Supreme Court had to step in then, because they needed to clarify something really critical, right? The difference in purpose between 2 different rules.
That distinction is the whole ballgame. You have Rule 43, which is maternity leave, or ML.
Okay.
And the court, led by Justice Chandrachud, made it clear, ML is not just general child care. It's fundamentally tied to the mother's biological recovery from labor, her health, and the need to nurse. It even invokes Article 42 of the Constitution,
Which guarantees humane working conditions. So if the leave is explicitly about recovering from childbirth, how could caring for a teenager she took in years ago possibly count against that?
It couldn't. And that's where the other rule comes in, Rule 43C, which is childcare leave, or CCL.
And that one is different.
Totally different. CCL is for general child care. You can take it for adopted kids, stepkids, anyone. So the Supreme Court's big ruling was that taking CCL for stepchildren does not and cannot exhaust your right to ML for a biological child. They serve entirely different purposes.
Wow. So one is for health, the other is for caregiving.
Exactly. You can't penalize a woman's health recovery just because she was a responsible parent to her stepkids earlier.
And that legal distinction, that really set the stage for the massive social breakthrough this case achieved. The court didn't just fix a technicality.
No, not at all. They went much further. They explicitly criticized the law's rigid, old-fashioned assumption of what a family is. Mother, father, biological children. And they introduced this concept of social context adjudication.
Which means what, exactly?
It means the court is finally acknowledging the reality that you and I and everyone else live in. They argue that welfare laws have to adapt. They have to recognize what they called atypical families.
Atypical families, like single parents or families from remarriages.
Yes, and they even mentioned queer relationships. It was a huge step.
There's a quote from the judgment that is just so powerful. It says, "The black letter of the law must not be relied upon to disadvantaged families which are different from traditional ones." They saw that penalizing Deepika Singh was actually discouraging people from taking on parental roles in non-traditional families.
And that's a huge shift. For any professionals listening, HR managers, lawyers, this judgment is now the standard. It's about purposive interpretation. You can't just follow the checklist. You have to ask, what was this rule actually designed to achieve?
So let's break this down. What does this all mean for you? First, if you're in a step family, you now have clear protection. Caring for stepchildren does not take away your right to maternity leave for a biological child.
The court basically made sure the law protects families that are defined by love and commitment, not just by biological paperwork.
And it seems like this has much bigger implications, right?
Oh, absolutely. This expanded definition of a valid atypical family, it didn't just stop with step-parents. So the real question to mull over is this: what further impact might this judgment have? Think about legal protections for same-sex partners or even single fathers who are seeking similar benefits. The law is finally playing catch-up with social reality.